is what it allows, and I want to clarify before we wrap this up. I want to clarify what I mean when I say balance your immune system. There is many medications out there, many treatments out there that will do, either raise or lower your immune system. But let me first differentiate between what I mean by your immune system. The body's ability to fight disease is probably the most common thing that people think of when they think immune system. Your ability to ward off, you mentioned you every 2 months would get the cold or whatever was going around the office. That's what people think of when they think of immune system. But another portion to it is this inflammatory response, because it has a portion in healing. So the inflammatory response is, the other side to it. Now, what I am up against is I have a lot of things, herb-wise, nutrient-wise, that will boost the ability to fight disease dramatically. Strong extracts. But what I'm always cautious with is many of them will, though they raise the immune system, the whole immune system, and the way I think is easiest to put it in your mind is that the whole immune system's on the same elevator. So I want to raise the ability to fight disease, and guess what comes up with it is the inflammatory response. Now, what happens if you have too much inflammation in your body?
You get sore.
Give me some examples. You get sore?
Arthritis.
Arthritis. What else?
Cancer. Pain.
Cancer. Pain.
Diabetes.
Heart disease, stroke, diabetes. A really long list of things that are related to inflammatory disorders. And so I'm here going, I want to boost somebody's immune system. And I can do it in a short term, but I won't ever leave them on it more than a couple of months. Now, you just mentioned cancer and some serious illnesses. Who's ever known someone that was being treated for one of those serious illnesses that had their immune system dangerously low? By show of hands, has anybody ever experienced that? And one, of course, would ask, and I know the first time I heard it, I thought, why would someone who has dedicated their life to becoming a medical practitioner who's supposed to know about the body, why on earth would they give you something that makes your immune system so low that a common cold could kill you? Well, it isn't because they haven't thought of that. They are diligent, they are dedicated to their field of study. But the reality is they know what I know, that if they want to lower that inflammation, that inflammatory response, guess what else is on the elevator? Anybody? The other side of the immune system, the ability to fight disease. That's the two halves to this immune response. You can measure them in blood work with interleukin-2, which is a blood draw, and it shows your ability to fight disease, or interleukin-1, which shows how much your body's in the inflammatory response. So, when you started talking, boosting the immune system, I thought, well, that's pretty good that we have a liquid that will boost the immune system. But you used the word balance when we first sat in the little room over here, and I wondered what you were meaning by that. And as I started to really study what Dr. Pichet had done, that is why I believe it should be what's on CNN and on every morning talk show. Because to be able to find a breakthrough that can show in laboratories, in human trials, not petri dishes, that you can raise the ability to fight disease 700% at the same time that you are lowering the inflammatory response, the interleukin-1 count. Well, that's what really made me step back a little, because no longer were they on the same elevator. Now, as those of you that know Jerry Silence, he likes to say, it became a teeter-totter, because we're in my life playground. Gotta have a little fun. But that was what really stood out to me, is that for the first time, I could give somebody that I knew would just keep their immune system running where I wanted it to. And I wouldn't worry about the inflammation. In fact, the inflammation would continue to go down. And that's why you hear these were just a couple of hundreds of stories that we could share of people both in Thailand, Southeast Asia, and here in the United States that are experiencing an improved quality of life because for the first time in many of their lives, their immune system is able to start balancing. So what I would like to end with was what it has done for me personally. As I mentioned to begin with, the rubber meets the road when you see it in people you care about. And one of the downsides of, as my loved ones will tell you, of me owning a supplement company is they begin be my guinea pigs. And so family, friends, anybody who knows me, and they mention the slightest, a hangnail, and I'm going and mixing up something for them. So what I saw was the people that I really cared about start to have the results that I had been trying to get them for so long. My little 4-month-old had broken out with some, bad skin irritation, things eczema style. And he had an open sore on the back of his head that was, for a little guy, pretty good sized. And he was so uncomfortable and was crying all the time. His mom was so unhappy because she wasn't sleeping. I wasn't really happy at that point. Those of you that know have a little kid, it affected the whole family. But when I looked at the back of that bottle and realized that there wasn't flavors and binders and fillers and additives and junk, that it really was 30 years worth of research put into one little bottle that could balance that immune response. Because as I looked at him and I saw the rash on my little 4-month-old, in my mind, that's inflammation. That's what triggered. That's inflammatory. And so I started giving it to him, and within it was probably less than a week. I don't want to set that expectation because for many it might be a month or two. But the important thing is, he's fine. His quality of life has changed. And that's, what really does it for you is when the people you care about change. So with that, I'd like to thank you for having me here. I'd like to turn the remainder of the evening over back to our founder, Dwayne Wilson. So thank you. Dwayne?